So what is up? We are back again. Pavy Daily Takes, live and direct. Today I want to talk about my top 5 players to watch in the bubble. This doesn't mean they'll be the best players. This doesn't mean they'll, have the best performances. Just my top 5 players to watch in the bubble for, this playoffs and also just the future. We do still have to think about the future. So also for the future and for what their performances maybe could mean, this off season, and 2021, 2022, 2023, things you look back and you'll say, oh, well, yeah, this started right there. So, without further ado, I want to go through my list again. Top 5 players. Not gonna keep you guys too long. Drop your comments in the, drop your thoughts of your players that you'll be watching that you think are those guys. If you agree with me, then cool. If you disagree with me, then let me know why you disagree with me. But without further ado, here we go. Number 5, TJ Warren. Obviously, TJ Warren had the 50-point game against the Pacers. One of the few one of the few Pacers to ever drop 50 points. But beyond that, you have Sabonis, who is probably, I think Sabonis is probably your best player. Sabonis was probably, well, not probably, he was your all-star. I think he was giving you like 17 and 14. I don't have the stats immediately right in front of me, but I think it was about, I know it was a double-double. He's gone. I think he has plantar fasciitis, if I'm not mistaken. I know he left the bubble. I don't think that he'll be back in the bubble. His season is probably done. Ole Dibo, obviously, he's still dealing with, ailments from that quad injury, that gruesome quad injury that he suffered last season. So obviously he's not going to be at 100%. Malcolm Brogdon has even been, injured this season. Luckily, they got the little off the break, so he should be 100% healthy. But that leaves really a spot for a dominant scorer. TJ Warren has always been a guy that, if nothing else, he could get buckets. Even when he was in Phoenix, he could get buckets. Seems like he's added the 3-point shot to his game now, and that's a big thing for Indiana. Again, like, Indiana's still a very solid basketball team. Obviously, I think with Sabonis being out, I think that there are limitations to what they can do. But if TJ Warren can come out here and supplant himself as kind of a star in this bubble situation, I think that could bode well for the Pacers this year and also the future. When you think this Pacers roster, and it could also give them some direction. And maybe you got a guy like Miles Turner. Do you want to move him? Do you feel comfortable moving him? Because maybe you were thinking about him being kind of like your third star or something like that. Your third star, your third option. But now if you got TJ Warren who can go out here and, let's say, average 22, 23 points in the bubble, do you even need a guy like Miles Turner? Do you even want to move Ole Dibo? Who knows? So yeah, number 5 on my list is TJ Warren. TJ Warren is a guy to watch in the bubble. He's going to have many opportunities to score. And I think that he's a guy that will take advantage of those opportunities outside of the fact that he just scored 51 points. But, yeah. Number 4, Demar Derozan. When you look at I think the issue with the Spurs all year was that they had 2 players in your starting lineup who didn't really want to shoot threes, being LaMarcus Aldridge and DeMar DeRozan. I think that now in basketball in 2020, you can't have 2 players who refuse to shoot the 3 ball. You can have 1, but you cannot have 2. Same with, the thing with the not comparing the 2, but kind of sort of comparing the 2. I think it's a little bit different, but just hear me out. With like Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook is kind of like the Rockets' big man. Like, he is a guy who pretty much scores in the paint. DeMar is kind of that same field, but kind of like their power forward per se. You put those other 3 guards out there, and then you run DeMar out there. It's kind of at the 4, kind of at the 3, not really, just kind of at like a wing position. And let him work that mid-range without LaMarcus. Let him just work that mid-range himself. And you see what he's been giving you. Like, he's been, I don't have the stats immediately right here in front of me, but these past 2 bubble games that he's played in, he's been solid. Also, quiet as it's kept, the Spurs, if I'm not mistaken, are in 10th? I think they're in 10th place. I think Portland is in 9th, but I think the Spurs are in 10th place. They have a realistic chance to make the playoffs. So even with DeMar, a guy who has a player option coming up, does his performance in this bubble maybe convince him to not opt out? Maybe he opts in, and maybe the Spurs, if he does opt in because of his performance in the bubble, maybe you think, man, you know what? Maybe we don't have to look for suitors for DeMar DeRozan. Maybe we look for suitors for LaMarcus Aldridge, especially with him coming off. I think he had shoulder surgery. So maybe you look for suitors for LaMarcus Aldridge and think, hey, you know what? Maybe we can be competitive with this guy DeMar DeRozan. Also for DeMar, he's a guy who I think was on his way to a Hall of Fame career. in the Eastern Conference, I think he would have continued to pick up, maybe some All-NBA awards, maybe some more All-Star appearances. You go out west, you kind of been forgotten about. This is the stage where pretty much every game is going to be on TV. People are watching. The whole league isn't there. I think Demar, as a guy that can take this as an opportunity to kind of remind people just who he is, because I think people do forget that Demar is one of the more elite scorers in the game of basketball today, and probably has one of the best mid-range games that honestly we've seen, at least in this generation of basketball, for sure. So yeah, Demar Derozan would be number 4 on my list. Number 3 on my list, I have Michael Porter Jr. Michael Porter Jr. is a guy who, in general, I thought that his success was huge for the Nuggets in general. Like, I thought that Michael Porter Jr. becoming something like the Michael Porter Jr. that was, ranked number 1 out of high school before he had the back issues when he got to college. And if he could be anything close to the star that he was supposed to be coming out of high school, I think that's imperative for the Nuggets' future. I think the Nuggets have everything except a dominant wing scorer. And I think that Michael Porter Jr. Can be that for the Nuggets. And I thought that, maybe this year might be a little bit too early with the way it's looking. I didn't know this coming in, but with the way it's looking, you got 3 of your starters down. You got Will Barton down. I think he has a sore knee. You got Gary Harris with a strained hip, and you got Jamal Murray down. So he's a guy that, even though I thought that he was pivotal for the future of the Nuggets team, I think he's even more pivotal for the right now of this Nuggets team because of the injuries that you see. Like, you got 3 of your main starters down, so he may be asked to produce in ways initially that he wasn't going to be asked to produce. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's a great thing. I think it's a great thing to get him playoff experience, especially in like a situation like this when you don't get to go home. You kind of like got to be around your teammates. There's really nothing else but basketball to do. And I look forward to seeing what he does. Because, again, like I've always thought, if Michael Porter Jr. could be anything like the player that we thought he was coming out of high school, before he had the back issue, like he was the number 1 rated player coming out of high school. Number 1 rated player. Everybody was comparing him to KD, saying this is the next guy. If he could be anything close to that for that Nuggets team, this Nuggets team has a problem. This Nuggets team is a problem for everybody going into the future, because, again, I think that's the only thing that you're really missing with this Nuggets team. I love Jokic. Obviously, you can do a lot with Jokic as the number 1 option, as you've seen, because they basically won 50 games in back-to-back years. But I think peak Jokic, if you want to win championships, is like 18, 13, and 9 or 10. Not probably 24, 25, 12, and 7 or 5, which is probably what it's going to be if Jokic is out there at being asked to be the number 1 scoring option. I think you need something for the wing position, and I think Michael Porter Jr. can be that. Also, defensively, he gives you another guy. Like, let's say you got to play, the Lakers, and you got to play, against a LeBron James. That's another defender that you can throw on LeBron. He's got great size. He's 6'10". He's not small. He's muscular. It's another defender that you can throw on him. Let's say, obviously you probably not gonna get that far, but who knows? Giannis, another defender you can throw on Giannis. Another defender you can put on Kawhi, PG. So I think that he's very pivotal for this basketball team, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he does. But again, not just for now, but also for the future. And like I said, I think that he's pivotal to this team's success. And if they're going to have success in the future, then I think that Michael Porter Jr. is going to be a big part of that. So Michael Porter Jr. comes in number 3 on my list. At number 2 on my list, I have Carousel Vert. Carousel Vert is a guy who before this season, I think I picked for most improved player. I think I also picked him to possibly be a sorry about that. I think I also picked him to possibly be a picked him to be a all-star before the season. Those things didn't happen, but I think he has a chance to play a all-star type role for the Nets coming down the stretch. Obviously half their team is gone. Spencer is gone. Kyrie is gone. KD never played this season. Torian Prince is gone. DJ is gone. It's a lot of shots that are free now. And I think a lot of those shots are going to go to Carousel Vert. Like, he's a guy that probably would have been a lottery pick if he wasn't hurt in college. He had the gruesome, dislocated foot a couple years ago. So really, he's been slowed down by injuries, but all the talent, clearly, when you look at Carousel Vert, has always been there. The talent is always there. It's just a matter of, can he stay on the court and can he be healthy? I think this bubble is a chance for him to prove himself, but also it's a showcase for trades. Like we've heard mad rumblings that the Nets want to go out there and get Bradley Beal, but the Wizards have to be comfortable with trading you Bradley Beal and know that they're going to get something back. if LeVert goes out here and puts on the show, and that's the guy you call up the Wizards, they may feel very comfortable about making that trade. And for like the Nets, I think that's a great trade. Like if you got to come in here and play Kyrie Irving, Bradley Beal, and Kevin Durant, you better strap your shoes up because it's going to be a long night. Strap your shoes up. Make sure you get a long amount of rest if you got to guard them. Strap your shoes up. Don't go out that day. You're not going out. You going to sleep. When you get in, get you a good night's rest. Strap your shoes up because it's going to be a long day if you got to guard all three of them for 48 minutes. So I think it'd be a great trade for the Nets. But, again, you have to convince the Wizards that this is something that they want to do. And I think that if LeVert can go out here and put on the show, then when you pick that phone up, if you want to find that third guy for them to play with, maybe you don't love LeVert as that like third guy. Maybe you want something better. I think that his play in these playoffs or in these bubble games can make other teams feel comfortable even about trading them if you want to trade them. Or maybe, even like Kyrie said earlier in the season, like, yo, we still trying to find the other guys that's going to play with me and KD I'm paraphrasing. I don't know if that was the like exact quote, but basically that's what he said. The other guys that's going to play with me and KD when we're all back and we're all a team. So, again, the Nets, I think, even though, obviously, with everybody that's out, we don't expect too much from them. They're probably going to go to the first round and maybe get swept by whoever. But, again, it's like scouting time. You try and look and see what you got and try to see who going to, stick around. And LeVert, basically, when you look at the guys who are left over, he's the vet. Obviously, Jamal Crawford is probably the guy you would lean on for, emotional support. The OG, like him and probably Garrett Temple. But as far as a guy who's been in the system, really only him and Jared Allen at this point have been in the system and been in the Nets jersey longest. So he's a vet. He's a guy who's been around. He's been in this system. I think I don't know how long Jacques Bond's been the assistant coach with the Nets, but he damn the only guy who's been under him for a stretch of years. So I think a lot will be asked of Carousel Vert, and I think Carousel Vert will deliver because, again, I think Carousel Vert is a good player, and I did pick Carousel Vert, like I said, to win Most Improved Player, and also, one more time, just going to mention it, if you're trying to make a trade, you're trying to go out there and, see, this is a great time to feature anybody and make them trade-based. So, Carousel Vert, I had to bet that he's going to average 22, 23, and I believe that he will do that. So, I'm not, at number 2 on my list is Carousel Vert. And number 1 on my list is James Harden. James Harden's number 1 because for the past 4 out of 5 years, for the most part, you've lost to the Warriors. Warriors not there. And let's keep it all the way funky about losing to the Warriors. He did a better job against the Warriors for the most part than LeBron did half of the time over this past 4 to 5 years. The year LeBron got swept, he went to 7. Well, him and the Rockets went to 7. The Cavs got swept. So I'm just saying that. No. That was the year before. They went 7. Cavs went 5. They went 7. Year after, they went 6. Cavs went 4. So, a little bit of this time, he done a little bit better job than even LeBron did and his teams against the Cavs. That team ain't there no more. For the foreseeable future, that team going somewhere. I don't know. They at home. They being family men. So, for Harden, it's now or never. Again, I thought that he wasn't really healthy to start 2020. He's had the 4 months off. He's moving like he's moving like the Harden of old. He's not even shooting the ball that much. He's shooting the ball like under 20 times a game, which is something you really haven't seen for the past 3-4 years of James Harden's career. And again, I just think now is never. Like now that is now or never. Both of these guys, as far as Russ and Harden, are over 30 now. They're not getting any younger. I don't think it gets any better for either one of them from here on out. So, again, now is the time to win. Or, as an organization in Houston, you may have to look to make some decisions because, again, it's not going to get better from here on out. I don't see how it gets better. Next season, even if you do make a run at it this year, teams come, they adjust. They're more equipped to your small ball. Don't know if it goes the same. Number 1 on my list is James Harden. He looks to be healthy. I think it's now or never. The team that was standing in your way is gone. They're at home. They being family men. So, hey, why not now? Like Russ says, why not? I'm saying why not? Harden, number 1 on my list. To silence a lot of the doubters and critics, get that first ring or at least get that second finals appearance, but really the first finals appearance. Obviously, the first one was way back when, but that was so long ago. People don't even remember he was on the team damn near half the time. But to at least make a finals push, I think it's now or never. And we'll see if he does it. But yeah, that's been my list. Let me know if you guys agree. If you don't agree, let me know why. Drop your answers in the comments. And tell them it's been Pavy's Daily Takes. Also, you guys just dropped a new record called Subtle Flex. Make sure you all go out there and check that out. I'll put the link in the description below. And yeah, until next time, Pavy's Daily Takes. Holla at y'all.